Mayday, Mayday, Cape Breton Island, Canada, connecting with Shetland Islands on very poor Wi-Fi.
Hello, how are you?
Can you hear me, Peter?
I can. How are you tonight?
I'm very fine, thank you, and I am so glad that you are the host of this show. I'm sitting back. We have a ton of viewers waiting to watch you live, and
Sounds
you
good.
have some incredible musicians on tonight.
We do.
Take it away, Peter.
Thank you. Can you bring my co-host Ross on?
I did.
He's not on my screen. There he is. Hi, Ross. How you doing, man? Yeah, we're just sent to the folk. Ripple FX Sundays in Scotland.
That's it. It's the new cool thing to do on a Sunday.
It's the thing to do on a Sunday night.
Oh, aye.
And it's and we've got some great guests tonight as well, haven't we?
Yeah, crackers, absolute crackers.
So, you want to tell Andy who we've got tonight?
Well, the gentleman that I'll be speaking to start off with is Dr. West, originally from Pitlochry. So we'll have a lot in common to talk about. So we'll get into that when we get into the show. He'll be able to explain exactly what he's a doctor of.
Fantastic. And in the second half of the show tonight, we've got Martin Donohoe on from Ireland, a box player as well, and he's a real character. So we're going to have a good bit of fun tonight. Folks, can you remember to share this broadcast as much as possible, as if you can, if you would like to, it'd be great. That helps us get our numbers up with it. If there's anybody out there that you think would like this kind of thing, please share it to them, or any other group, whatever. Rebecca's working backstage tonight as ghost moderator, and that makes it all very, very easy for us with Ripple FX, because she's just going to run that bit, and Ross and I will be out the front here holding this together. So without further ado, the other thing is, remember, if you've got any comments at all or anything like that, send in messages. Let us know you're there. Any questions, anything, because Rebecca's at the back and she'll fire them up on the screen for us, and then we can see what's happening. Hello, Murdo McRae there. I just sent Murdo a tune no long ago there. I thought he'd be practicing it, but there we go. He's decided to tune in, so brilliant. Right, Ross, are you going to start a wee set of pipe tunes tonight, I think?
I'm just going to play one tune.
Are you? All right, okay.
So I'm going to play a tune called Down and Out in Santiago de Compostela, which is easier said.
Oh, my. Yeah.
Easier said than done.
You wouldn't want to say that with a couple of malts on.
No, not at all. It's one of these rare tunes that you can play drunk but can't say sober.
Oh, that's good. It's easier to play than say then. That's not so bad.
Well,
if you give us that tune, and I'll do a wee set of tunes, and then we'll maybe get you to bring on Professor West, Dr. West. That'd be great.
That's it. This is for the health hour.
Don't mention the health.
All right, I'll give you a quick tune.
Good man. Yes, excellent. Good. Quite a modern composition.
It's nice. It actually sounds better than the small pipes, but I thought.
Is that quite a modern composition? Is it?
Yeah, it is. It was actually one that I learnt at that small pipe and fiddle retreat up in Durness that I go to every year.
Ah, right. Okay.
And I've forgotten the backstory to it. We got taught that a few years ago.
Is there a lot of people? Is there a lot of people go to the pipe and retreat? Or?
Yeah, it's quite popular. Can't remember the exact numbers. I think there's about 12 pipers and 12 fiddlers, and then the 4 instructors.
Brilliant.
Good.
Is that where was that? Did you say Durness?
Durness, the far north.
Ah, Smoo Cave. Smoo Cave, isn't it?
Smoo Cave. It's a shooting lodge.
Yeah.
That gets used in it's usually in May or June. I think it's supposed to be this year, the first week of June.
I think I remember having a meal there once, and it was awful good prawns.
It's great up there.
Yeah, it's good.
Great.
I'm going to get a wee set of tunes, and then we'll get ready for Gary. Rebecca, if you're there, mind when folk are doing the solos, if you could hold them up onto the screen for us, that'd be good. Here's a wee set. Couple of Strathspeys. I've been watching all this Cape Breton stuff for the last couple of weeks as well, so I'm going to do a wee couple of Strathspeys. You do Strathspeys much faster than we do in Scotland. So I'll play a couple of Strathspeys, and then I'm going to do 3 reels on the back of that. The first reel is one I wrote for a young lad that was on the show a couple of weeks ago, Morgan Tony. So I've written him a wee reel to cheer him up, and hopefully it has cheered him up, Ross. I hope. Not heard from him since, but
That's been a good tune.
And then a wee tune that I wrote for my pal in Ailith, Bob Stewart, folk singer, and Bob had a band called Shannis at the time, which is apparently a travelling word it's quite rude, I think. You can ask Dr. West about that. He'll maybe can. And the last one's a wee tune called The New Town of Edinburgh, which is an Ian McPhail tune. So here we go. I'll give you this wee blast.
Very good.
See if Rebecca minds to put us up this time. That'll be cool. There we go. A wee set of reels for you that time. Okay, guys. Hello. Now, we have Mr. West with us as well. Ross, I'll hand you over to introduce this handsome young man that's just joined us.
Thank you very much, Peter. Well played.
Rebecca, we don't need Martin yet. Thank you. Go for it, Ross.
Okay, there we go. We're getting there.
Oh, where's Gary?
We're going to bring on Dr. West.
Yeah.
In a second. There was a couple of names that popped up there that said hello when you're playing there, Peter. The Wills from Ballinluig, who are on every week. Martin Shepherd from Montrose. And I seen a comment from Dougie Smith there on. I think there's a bit of tongue-in-cheek in that one, so I'll speak to him later.
Interesting chanter sounds. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Who are we bringing on here?
We're going to bring on Dr. Gary West, who a lot of people will have heard his voice, if not seen his face.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, boys. How are you?
Great. How you doing, Gary?
Good.
I'm very well. I was playing along to Peter there. The one,
Excellent.
at least the first one that was in A. But with the time lag between Shetland and Edinburgh, I was half a beat behind. And then I remember when we used to play together, and I was always half a beat behind you anyway, Peter. So I felt quite at home there.
Maybe I was half a beat in front.
Aye, well, we'll split the difference. We'll split the difference. Good tunes, though. Good tunes.
Good fun.
Good stuff. Okay, so Dr. Gary West, welcome to the show. Thanks for giving up some of your time on a Sunday evening.
It's good to be here. I've heard all about it, so I had to see the action for myself.
Sorry you're so far down the queue to get on. But
I was going to say, I was expecting the call a wee bit before now, but there you go. I decided that when you did ask me, I was going to say, I'm sorry, I'm washing my hair tonight. I can't make it.
Yeah, you'll not be bothered about the lockdown easing of barbers and things.
No, well, I've trimmed the beard. I hope you'll notice.
Yes, I see that. Yeah,
yes.
Mine's just getting a bit frushy again, I'm afraid. So. Good Scottish word for the Kate Brettoners out there. That frushy.
Frushy. What does it mean? Minging.
That's another good Scottish word.
What was the name of the band? The one in Aelith? Was it Shaughnessy? Is that what you said?
Shaughnessy. Yeah, Bob Stewart's real. It was a travelling folks word for the opposite of having a P, I suppose.
It was. Yeah, it's. I'm glad you didn't say that word on the radio or anything, because yeah. Yeah,
I think I maybe just said it about 6 times.
You did,
but
yeah.
Called a tune after it, so it's too late now. Right. That's that. So.
We'll get started with Gary here. So, how's your lockdown, Gary? How are you? Because you work, obviously, you present BBC Pipeline.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just speak a little bit about why you're a doctor and the job that you do. It's quite
yeah.
important.
Well, I'm one of these useless kind of doctors that can't fix anybody's ailments. It's a PhD doctor rather than something useful. So, yeah, I work at Edinburgh University, and I work in a place called the School of Scottish Studies, which is linked to a department called Celtic and Scottish Studies. So we teach all things to do with Scotland, really, Scottish culture, music, folklore, history, tradition, that kind of stuff. There's a big archive there of material that's So basically, for the last 70 years, people have been going out round the homes of Scotland with tape recorders, recording them, their songs, their stories, their ways of life, you know, their crack, generally speaking. And it's all been archived. So it's an amazing collection of stuff that can actually, quite a lot of it can be accessed online now through a thing called Kist of Riches. Kist as in K-I-S-T, which is a Scots word for a chest, like a container. Kist of Riches. So if anyone fancies checking that out online, you can basically hear the recordings of people from their homes in Scotland that have been collected over the last 70 years or so. So I teach all about that stuff, basically. We have a lot of students.
Is Kist of Riches, Gary, the same as the Tobler and Docus?
Toper and Dualchish in Gaelic.
Oh, thank you.
Toper and Dualchish. So the Cape Bretoners out there will know all about that. So that means literally the well of tradition. Toper is well, and Dualchish is tradition or folklore, really. So yeah, it's an amazing site. So we have a lot of students, some from Scotland, some from elsewhere in the UK, but a lot from overseas. Quite a lot from Canada come across, and the US. So that's the day job. Yeah, that's why I'm well, we've been working from home like the rest of the world, doing all our teaching via things like this, seeing a lot of faces on screens and trying to talk to the world and never knowing if they're hearing you or not. So hopefully you are. So yeah, that's where the doctor bit. It's a pretend doctor. I can't do anything for your chilblains, I'm afraid, Ross.
No, nobody can.
No. Well, I heard that, but I promised not to mention them on radio. So
we'll speak about this later. That's fine.
Are you standing in that bath of cold water just now?
Yeah,
so it would be. Yeah.
And you're also a presenter in a station that most folk, if they play the pipes, will have tuned into at some point.
Yes, yeah, it's on BBC Radio Scotland. It's called Pipeline, and as the name suggests, it's about bagpipes of all shapes and sizes. Yeah, I've been doing that for, I think, 17 years now, every week.
Yeah, wow.
It's a long time. There's not much that I haven't said about bagpipes many times over. And yeah, it's a show that goes out like all radio stations now. You can get it online. So we've got, a good following internationally. Yeah, it's like many things, I fell into it completely by accident 17 years ago, and still doing it, and I love it. It's great. It's just one week, but
it's a brilliant show. A brilliant show.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a lot of fun. It's when I first started doing it, I discovered that piping fans know what they like and they know what they don't like, and but that's actually changed a lot, even just in those 17 years. It used to be if we played anything vaguely folky, anything with a guitar on it, and much worse, even an accordion, for goodness sake. The letters would just come in, and either they've given up or they've changed their taste. So yeah, it's little bits of lots of things. Sort of solo Highland piping is still probably the kind of mainstay of it, and pipe bands. But actually, most of the commercial music that's being released now that has pipes on it are more the folk band side of things. So that's I'd say it's tricky finding the balance that everybody likes, but you just have to kind of go with it and hope that most people like your tastes, as it were, and throw in the odd curveball from time to time, and but it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Interesting when you're saying about the accordion there. I remember about 30 years ago, that was before you done the show, when I was with Scottish Gas, I went in and I played the accordion. They done a wee broadcast, and I played the accordion along with the pipe corps and some of the drummers, but I was playing the electronic accordion, so I think people didn't actually realise it was an accordion. So I think that's how I got away with it. I remember that to this day, because they played the Gold Ring.
Yeah.
And I was sitting scribbling out chords for it And then 5 minutes before that, they had a wee blow up, and I realised they were doing harmonies that none of my chords worked with at all. so it was a new case altogether.
Yes, I remember playing with your chords, Peter. Yeah.
Yes. That was the Cayley band, the good old Cayley band.
Now you're blaming them on harmonies. It was time lag, and now it's the harmonies.
It's the harmonies, yeah.
Gary, you fancy giving us a tune sometime? That would be cool.
I'll give you a tune. Why don't I? This will sound as if we've planned this, but why don't I play the Gold Ring since you've just mentioned it?
I won't play my chords. Don't worry.
I'm already regretting saying that because I might not have played it since whenever that was 30 years ago. But, okay, yeah, I'll play a couple of jigs. I'll start off with "Scarce of Tatties," maybe by Norman MacLean, and then I'll try the Gold Ring after that. So these are Scottish small pipes. Not sure how much you can see of them, but they're bellows blown, quieter than the Highland pipes. So yeah, here we go.
Woo!
I almost remembered how the Gold Ring went, so there you go.
Fantastic. Great playing. And then your roots go back, Gary, to pipe band stuff as well. That's where you started learning, same as Ross.
Yeah, absolutely. We were from the same part of the world, the same part of Atholl almost. So I started learning through the Vale of Atholl Pipe Band at that time, which would be 1970. Well, I started learning. I was born in 66 and I started learning when I was 6. So I suppose 1971, 1972, somewhere about there. And the Vale of Atholl was just a parade band at the time. It went on to become a kind of famous band and a successful band. But at that time, it just did sort of street parades. And the old pipe major was Alan Cameron, who was a very, very fine piper. And he retired and Ian Duncan took over. But Alan stayed on as the teacher, and so he started quite a lot of us from Pitlochry and the surrounding area around about the same time. Piper Cameron, he was known as, and he was a great teacher, and so there was a whole crop of us started, I suppose, in the mid-70s with the Vale, and at that time the band then started competing, and we made our way up through the grades, eventually getting up into the top flight, into grade 1 in 1984, I think it was. So great days, yeah. And I've always said that pipe bands are a really good training ground for musicians, whether it's pipers or drummers. You know, it's even if it's not what you end up doing. You know, it's very, very precise. It's very musical. You know, you need a commitment, like any team, like a football team or whatever. You need to really throw yourself into it. And so, you know, it's so many. I suppose I went into the folk scene after that, and many people did, but nearly everybody who's come up through the folk scene as pipers has started off in pipe bands. So that's
I think you're absolutely right, and I think the learning curve is amazing in institutions like pipe bands, because it's not all just about the music either. It's about learning about life and what happens and how to get on with people and how to mix with people, and it's very important for young people to have these opportunities to do these things.
Absolutely, and you know, so many young people do get the chance to do that. You know, across Scotland and beyond, of course, right now, and it's always a shame if they don't get the chance. You know, if there's pockets of places that don't have a pipe band, or the school doesn't teach pipes or drums or whatever, but there's so much happening right across Scotland. That you know, if you're interested, you can usually find a band somewhere within striking distance, and you know, and of course it's all done pretty well entirely on a voluntary basis. You know, guys like Ross there, who teach, you know, many hours a week, completely free of charge to bring the young kids in the area on, and there's hundreds of people like Ross across the nation, and you know, I think it's one of the great unsung institutions, the civilian pipe band idea. You know, it really is so important. It's incredible.
If it wasn't for these people and dedicating all the time, it wouldn't happen, and that's the end of it, really. It's
absolutely. There's so many people give back. You know, I mean, Ross, you must be. Sorry, I'm going into interviewer mode here, but you must be doing a fair bit of teaching.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Wait, which program am I on? I was just saying, you're doing a lot of teaching, Ross. Eh?
A lot, yeah. There's been a lot of lessons, and there's been through the schools that I teach in Aberdeen, Robert Gordon's college. They've had a lot of, they've kept it going. And what I've noticed as well is the standards got very, very, very good very quickly. They took a real big jump, and it must be that because there's less activities going on, the focus being locked down, the chanters actually getting played probably more often, or you're listening.
I'm finding exactly the same with all the accordion players. They're really, really coming on. And as we've said many a time before, they're always in time for their lesson, which is amazing.
Yeah, I tell you what, I absolutely take my hat off to these kids that have just taken it completely in their stride.
Yeah,
and improved through. It's been an eye opener to how you can go about doing other things to still build in quality. So the internet's got. But then actually saying that, on Friday this week, I did my first 2 social distance lessons locally, and I sat out when we'd got a little good bit of weather. And although the internet's been brilliant, that one-to-one is you do miss that. There's no compensation for that in the internet. You do need it, and it was a weird thing to do that again, because it's been since March, and it was quite weird. It felt a bit funny, like getting into the sync of things, but it was a great relief to teach like that again. I'm looking forward to whatever.
I think Gary and I were speaking this afternoon, and you said, Gary, basically it is what it is, isn't it? And we have to make the best of what we've got in the present climate.
There's so many people, like pipe bands being the amount of discipline and hard work that goes into pipe bands, so that commitment's already there. So if it's tough again over the winter, then everyone will just find a way. I know pipe bands have found it hard to find a platform to practice together. But there's been other ways of sending in recordings and getting.
But you know, there's a young lad taking up the accordion with me, who's a very good piper. He knows both of you guys. A chap called Jamie Curran. And I think you played in a band with Jamie at one point, did you, Gary? Did you?
I did. I played in the Glasgow Police recently.
Yeah. He's a bit of a character. But anyway, he decided, since he had some time in his hands with this lockdown, he would take up the accordion. So I've been doing Skype lessons, Zoom lessons with him. He's doing great. He's doing fine. So he's a nice lad.
Yes.
So, but I think we've seen that, and he was telling me that he's found working at the college a lot of people coming in that maybe played before as well, asking to get their pipes done up and things because they've got time again and they're taking it up again, kind of style thing.
I've noticed that through Tay Piping, there's been a lot of adults, because that's what I like to teach, is adults that maybe have got a bit more time on their hands. Maybe they've retired or they don't think they can play. Or a lot of the folk that I'm teaching specifically are folk that have always said, I never took it up. But I've got a thing, and then there's quite a lot of folk, like you said, bringing pipes back out, or maybe not wanting to go completely down the road of getting into it seriously, but just doing it to pass time.
I lost my blow stick valve the other day though, because I used my blow stick to blow up the kids' swimming pool thing, paddling pool, and I reckon the bottom of the valve's now inside it somewhere.
You're going to have to cut a bit off your shoe again, Peter.
Again, yeah.
Leather. Yeah.
Gary, so you went into the folk world. I mind you playing with Cale Begg and all that in the early days. And I took you there. Do you fancy giving us a wee tune or something that you can brings back memories for you?
I could do, yeah. What about a whistle tune?
Sounds good to me. Sounds great. Ross says no.
No, okay. Yeah, so the reason I got into folk music, I suppose, I went to Edinburgh, and there used to be, as you'll remember, Peter, some great sessions in some of the pubs in Edinburgh, especially the Green Tree on a Monday night, where everybody went. And is it even there? It's not there anymore.
No,
it's a block of flats now. It's not there anymore. And I got in tour with these guys who played in the band with Cale Begg. But the piper at that time with Cale Begg was Gordon Duncan, well-known piper, sadly no longer with us. And Gordon left that band to go to play with the Donohoe Weavers, which gave an opportunity for there was a piping spot going in that folk band. So I got the nod because I've been playing with them in sessions. So I'll play a Gordon Duncan tune in the.
Yeah,
it seems in keeping. This is Gordon was known for his very fast tunes, but he wrote some lovely slow ones as well, and this is one of them.
go. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Interesting. You said that you took over from Gordon and Kilbeg because he went to the Tannahill Weavers, and then a couple of weeks ago we had Kenny Forsyth on as a guest, and Kenny took over from Gordon and the Tannahill Weavers as well.
Yeah. He told a good story last week. Or 2 weeks ago, he told a good story that it was in the pub with you. Or he was at the other side, and it was you were asked for that if you'd do it, and you didn't have time or something.
Oh yeah, that was.
And you pointed Kenny out in the corner.
I say, try him.
So that was his addition.
I keep reminding him that he owes me a pint for that, but he doesn't seem to be biting at all. There was just a kind of conveyor belt of pipers going round all the folk bands for a while.
See, the back in the 80s, that would have been the second wave of sort of bands coming through from the start of the kind of folk scene, I guess. But then Edinburgh was quite a big scene there. And you mentioned like the Tannies, Kilbeg, Battlefield Band, and the other band that you didn't mention, the other one that you were in, Clan Alba.
Clan Alba, yeah. Clan Alba was
Were they quite? What were they like socially? What was the scene like? The
scene was great. The scene was really good. At that time,
you must, as independent musicians, you must have been going to the same sessions.
There was a lot of sessions, and you would meet. There was a lot of sessions around Edinburgh, certainly, and in Glasgow, although I never really lived in Glasgow. But and then you tended to get the same people kind of gravitating to the same sessions. But it was the same in the actual gigs. I suppose it's fair to say that nowadays there are a lot more excellent bands around, and it must be really hard to get the good gigs, because it's really competitive. Whereas in those days, if you could make a reasonable sound at all, you got festival. I got to play at Glastonbury with Clan Alba, and I would, it wasn't this size that it is now, but it was still pretty big, and it would just be impossible now to think of getting gigs like that. So, so it was great. It was fantastic. I think I timed it right because it was just at the time when you did a lot of tours in Germany and they were really, really up for Celtic music at the time, and they bought loads of CDs, and you could play in big, 3,000 seater venues, and then come back to Scotland and play in the corner of a pub. It was you just never knew. I suppose it's still the same to that extent,
when you speak about the big gigs, I remember when I was over playing at the St Andrews night in Rio in Brazil. And we came out one night and we were going to have a wee tune in the hotel in front, and the beach was just packed, and we thought, oh, you beauty, look at this. But unfortunately, it was for Liza Minnelli, who had a big stage at the other end. It wasn't actually for us. So,
I had a kind of similar thing. We were playing in Hungary, and we went to this festival. It was a great festival up in a sort of castle, a ruined castle up on the hill. And there was TV cameras there with MTV on them. And we thought, oh, we've made it. We're going to be on MTV. And then we read the small print, and it was Magyar television of Hungary, So.
And then these bands, they must have been great fun. And you're talking about modern bands, but as you're in a band now, you're in a trio.
Mm-hmm. Just now. Yeah, that's no fun at all.
doesn't sound like it.
It's a trio called Brogue, and so it's got Greg Borland, who's a fantastic fiddler, and Sandy Breachin, who's a really, really bad accordion player. No, Sandy's a great player, but he's crazy. I don't know. Some people who are watching might see Sunday afternoon.
I've been watching Sunday on he comes, he does a wee live show on Facebook. And if you've not seen Sandy Breachin, tune into that thing on Facebook. It's hilarious.
Was he not dressed up as a woman today?
He was in drag today, yeah. Today he was in drag, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But remember, Sandy used to come into the Green Tree when we were there as well. Sandy used to come in for a tune at the same time.
Yeah, he did. So I've gone full circle. Yeah, so we trio, and we do. It's great because I'm doing the kind of folk club circuit again for the first time in 30 years since I've done that. It's great because I'm really old now. It's like I'm getting on a bit. So
yeah, you're now right enough. But,
I'm older than you, Peter. I'm older. I believe I'm older than you. So
just,
or at least you used to be younger than me. Put it that way.
Yeah, but you're wearing better. You're wearing better.
He's like younger than you, Gary, when he's in Shetland. But the time lag.
It's the time lag, yes.
But listen, it's been brilliant having you on, Gary. Absolutely fantastic.
Aye, lovely to have a bit of crack with you chaps. And
I guess you fancy getting us a wee set of tunes on the way out, and then we've got an Irish accordion player called Martin Donohoe coming on for the second half, which is going to be great fun too.
Sure, yeah, I'll play a wee couple of reels, I think. But in
fact, I'm quite worried because I don't ever know what Martin is going to say sometimes, so it could be interesting.
Anyway.
With your pedigree of Radio Scotland, it was a wee bit safer.
The bleep. Have you got the bleep button ready?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Very good.
Phenomenal playing. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Gary, thank you so much.
Not at all. It was a pleasure chatting.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you look up Gary's website, we'll give you that later on. This is all recorded. Gary, what is your website? It's all recorded, so we can watch it back.
It's a good question. It's garywest.scott. Garywest.scott. Yes.
Excellent. You can't forget that one, folks. There we go. So thanks very much. And Ross, have you got anything nice you want to say to Gary before he goes?
Oh, just keep trying.
Probably not.
Just keep trying, Gary. Keep trying.
Gary, thanks very much.
Thanks for sharing the Sunday, Gary. See you.
All the best. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye now.
There he is, Scott.
Very good.
What
do you make of that? What a player.
Great, and great fun, and a great knowledge. Great knowledge.
Just great guy. And the thing about it is that it's so nice to see, like, say, a presenter of a show, though, that can play like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Gary knows what he's speaking about. You know,
ourselves.
Just like us.
He'll be panicking now. He'll be panicking.
He's away thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to have to up my game. The pipeline's going to take on a new format.
We'll get on that yet. We'll get on there yet.
Listen, I think we're getting through time tonight already, so I think we'll just bring our second guest on.
Exactly.
And this man is great fun. Hello, Martin.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you getting on, sir? Are you well?
I'm great. I was listening to that wonderful music there. That's top drawer stuff altogether. Well done, Gary.
Gary's he's a super piper, super musician, Gary.
I would have actually grown up here in Ireland, where I am in Ireland. I would have been influenced by his music, and also John West salmon. I would have eaten a lot of John West salmon, his uncle salmon. We'd have grown.
Yeah. Good. So what are you up to? What are you doing in this lockdown carry on?
Eating. I'm doing a lot of eating, so I am.
Okay, right.
I moved all me working from the Zoom, a lot of teaching, so I set that up beside the fridge so that I don't have any walking, any exercise. You know, so there's no Fitbits. My body is a temple. It's just in need of restoration. That's all that's wrong with it. It is a temple. So there's a lot of people online, and in Ireland, of course, the gigs and the pubs like yourselves, not so much maybe in Shetland because you didn't do the pubs like we did, but certainly in Ireland, the pubs were a large part of the ceolagus, the crack, and the sessions. So they're all gone since March, and it's very, very strange. It's strange. We normally meet all our youngsters. You talk about passing on the music. Well, we used to pass it on as well to our organisations like Kyotis and the Pipers Club and Willie Clancy Summer School. So there's none of that going on in real life. I know we have it electronically, but it's not the same. It's not.
No. It's what we were saying. It's just what it is, and it's what we're having to do just now. But it's put toll to a lot of things like the Shetland Accordion Fiddle Festival. You've been at that many times.
Well, sure, I wouldn't have met yourself, Peter, only for those great people up there that invited me over, maybe over 20 plus years up to Shetland, and I've every year a great memory and great people. And that's where I was introduced to the wonderful Scottish music, and I got to hear the Shetland fiddling, and I heard about Willie Hunter and Perry Willie Johnson. But I met all the great Scottish accordion players, and there was wonderful music shared over the years there, and it's still top drawer. It's still top drawer. So I'm saddened for the committee again. That was a great lifeline to all the people up there, and of course the people that travelled up and were part of that. They were like a big family. It's sad.
It's just happening everywhere though, and I'm sure that's happened to you where you lost festivals and things this year over where you. Can you tell us where you are for the people? Because obviously we're broadcasting out of Cape Breton. In Canada. Have you ever been to Cape Breton in Canada?
Never, ever. I've never. No, I've heard their music and their fiddlers and their wonderful accompanists, but I've never been. So it's a wonderful. It's on the bucket list. So I'm in the top of Ireland, Peter. We're up at the top in the north. We're up in the north. There's a lovely place around the middle of the teddy bear's neck. When you look at Ireland and you look at it there, you sort of see the teddy bear's neck. Well, we're in the middle of it there, and we're one of those counties that aren't taken into the 6 counties of the UK or Great Britain, which some people would claim. So we're one of the ones on the outside of it. So we are. We're there along with Donegal on one side, down and the bottom then is Monaghan and Cavan, and we'd have lots of music and song and dance, and we've had it for a long time as well. And the old harpers would have come from this area, and of course fiddles and pipes would have been popular, and of course when I played the button accordion, there would have come a lot of them as well, and of course the piano accordion is still very strong. Philip Clark, another visitor to Shetland, he's listening tonight. Philip would have playing it and teaching it still, but it's fallen off the piano accordion in comparison to 15 years ago. There's an awful lot of children now playing concertinas.
Well, easier to carry about, right?
Oh, a lot easier. You bring them over to Shetland a lot easier than the piano accordion.
Yeah. Do you fancy getting us a tune?
No, I wouldn't be bothered.
This interview's going to go wonderful.
I didn't know which accordion. I was going to play my orange accordion over there that you like, Peter. That's my orange accordion. I was going to play that one. That's my orange accordion, me man Freeney. That's it there, everybody. That's it.
Really? Is it bright orange?
Oh, it's a bright orange, so it is, yes.
That's true. Is that for playing on
beautiful man Freeney? So it is there, yeah. Look at that. And the poor man, Robert, that met me this, he says, are you sure now that's the colour you want? Are you sure? And he sent me about 13 samples and says, are you sure this is the one you want? So he was swearing to himself, this fella mustn't be right at all. But I got one anyway, so with it.
Well, you know, if you were playing on a road or anything like that.
Sound. Hold on, boys. My wire fell out. Hang on. You can hear me like I hear you. I'm having trouble with my wire here. Hang on. Can't find me hole. Hang on. Where the hell did it go? There we are. That's what I get for moving around. Sorry about that, the world. I'm sorry about that, Cape Breton.
You've covered.
You hear me now?
You've covered it very well.
Well, when I was young, you see, I learned a lot of my music, so I did in a marching band. That's where I would have started. There wouldn't have been music in my family as such, but I was actually a majorette in an all-girl band. Oh, it was very hard. In fairness, it was very hard. But,
was that last year? Was that last year?
Wonderful memories. Wonderful memories. And that's what I used to be, the leader at the front. Up there, Peter, honestly, up and down. Up and down. So there's people that don't believe I actually walk, but I did used to walk when I was younger. Honest to God. Anyway, I'll play this tune. There's lots of people listening in from my neck of the woods as well. But
brilliant.
The waltz. How about a waltz? I'll play a waltz.
You've got plenty time to do 2 or 3, so it's no problem.
Oh, sure. Well, this is a lovely tune called "Come Back, Paddy Riley." It's by Percy French. Percy was a wonderful man that wrote songs, and the melodies are well known. It's been on Take the Floor. I've heard some of the bands including this in their selection, but this is an older version now. I got this version from Betty Leddy. Betty be from Kinalek and Cavan, and Betty give me this version, and it's normally called "Come Back, Paddy Riley" to Bally James Stuff, but she says the actual name of it is "Come Back, Paddy Riley. I'm not pregnant at all." There for all my listeners there. I see Savina Donohoe giving a lovely comment. Savina's the curator of the museum in Ballyjamestuff. And Ballyjamestuff and County Cavan, the Cavan County Museum. And they have a lovely exhibition, indoor and outdoor. But they based a lot on the trenches and the World War I. It's renowned over the world now. It's one of the best in Europe. And she's been years now, she's been trying to make me in there and put me in a case and make an exhibit of me. Savina Donohoe. So I know you're watching, Savina. So the next time you see me, Peter, I could be in the museum, so I quit. No.
Do you see that there as well? There's somebody from Shetland come on just now for mid-yell, Jean Anderson, and she says she'll never forget the marathon 46 reels that you played in the Culliver Hall.
I'm sorry, Peter, but I love Shetland, and thanks for saying that, Jean, and Una Simpson and Peter there, and all the wonderful people of the island that have kept up the friendships. The late Tommy Spence, and they just were so encouraging. And there came at a time in my life when I was full of Irish music, and I was playing it from when I was 14 or 15. And then you go up to this lovely place, so you do, and you wonder, did they want to listen to Irish music at all? Because the standard of musicianship coming from mainland Scotland and of the island, the Neil Halls and all the great musicians and fiddlers, and Bernadette Porter and Jim Leask, all these great players. And I was staying at Derek Hendry's house the first time we went up 26 years ago. It was Derek Hendry's house. And all, but they loved Irish music. They really did. And they were very encouraging. And more importantly, they used to buy tapes. When I went up there, it was tapes I used to bring with me. There wasn't even CDs. Tapes. So it was a wonderful place, still is. And thanks for all those lovely texts in there. But old time waltz, as we call it, an old time struggle. That's what we call it, Peter, over here. An old time struggle.
An old time struggle.
This is probably a good slot to just to explain to the viewers not to adjust their screens, because you're not actually related. You're not brothers. But the more the more I look at you both, it's.
We have had tunes together many times, and I remember sitting down and one night at a concert, and Martin said, "Can you come up and play the piano for me and give me a chap?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "I have no idea." And that was that. And it was a great gig. It was great. We just lived by the seat of our pants. It was bro. That was great.
Well, I love the music.
Great to hear that waltzer as well. And did you like Ross's tuning up with his mic on and the middle?
Lovely, the drone effect. And in fact, the next tune I'm playing, if all the listeners tonight want to do a drone, they can join us with a drone, you know?
Yeah, right. Ross, mind and turn your mic off.
I apologize.
I thought it was very good, Ross. You're very talented. You've hidden talent. Wait till you find it. Honest to God. All the guests on this show are very hairy. Is there something against bald and hairy men? What's all this hair? There's a lot of hair on this show, boys.
Well, we had a woman on a couple of weeks ago, but she wasn't too hairy. She wasn't just too hairy.
All right. Well, the women in Ireland, all the men and women are hairy. It makes no difference with the lockdown. Men and women are hairy. Absolutely no change. I grew this beard, Ross. I grew this beard waiting for applause. That's why I grew the beard. I waiting for applause.
Tell me,
of course, if you want to go on.
Tell me a wee bit about Cavan with the flay, because you were a big instigator in that. A flay is kind of, well, they call it a fish, I think, in Scotland. It's the same kind of idea.
Well, but you done. We'd say a fla, not a flay. A fla. And it'd be a great, Peter. All the musicians come from all around the world, because there's Irish music's everywhere. America, Europe, Scotland, England, the wonderful St. Rocks from Glasgow send over bands and musicians and win medals. So it's the championship. It's the same as you have in your music. It's our championships, and compete and solo, duets, trios, group of kyoles, singing. It's like the modal, it'll be songs, and of course the dancing and the language. And then that takes part about 3 days of that in August every year. And we had 3 years of it, 10, 11 and 12. And 300,000 people at the time we had it. It's now gone up to 700,000. So there's a great following for music and Irish songs and dancing. And they come from all over the world, as I say, and they really enjoy it. We were lucky in Cavan. We got the chance to host it. So it was a success musically and also financially, because all the businesses done well. Food was eaten, businesses. And so there's people hoping it'll come back someday, but it's a major undertaking. The worst about all that stuff, lads, as you know, is volunteers. It's very hard nowadays to get people to commit. You know, as we're getting busier and busier, asking people to give their time is harder and harder. And of course, all the new laws now about risk assessment and insurance and child protection, it's very difficult to see yourself doing these things again. 10 years ago we done it. I couldn't see it. Hard work.
Yeah. Would you say, but it's interesting, because you talk about Irish music in Ireland is still extremely popular. I would say Scottish music in Scotland is sometimes more popular abroad than it is actually in Scotland sometimes.
I get that hard. I always listen on a Sunday evening at 5 o'clock to the repeat of Take the Floor. I've been doing that for 10 years, and I've heard Gary's show and the Pipes show, and I've all the stuff, Travelling Folk and Bruce McGregor, and I love it. But and there's lots of Irish musicians I grew up with loved the Scottish dance music, so they did, and they'd say to me what band was on Saturday night, and then I'd be listening to it on a Sunday, and they'd listen to whether it was the Bill Black band or right through to all the great younger bands that are out there now, Tom Orr and so on, and Mary Fielding and that. But it's hard to believe that, because we believe that everybody in Scotland loves Scottish music, and of course you'd see Hogme and see Phil Cunningham and you'd see the Celtic pipe bands and all, and you say, oh Jesus, they're mad for it over there. And we think nobody in Ireland gets the stuff either. That's the way it is.
I think Gary mentioned something about the standard. He talked about the folk bands in the 80s, and there was a few that were very good. But he says now there's a lot that are very good and of a much more kind of dynamic broad. Are you noticing that as well, Martin? Do you notice?
Yeah, they're much more professional and much more challenging with their music and everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the problem we have now is, without the COVID, leave the COVID out of it, is actually getting audiences to pay for the music. There's lots of people love our music in the sessions, and they'll go to the bars in Dublin and Clare and Galway and Common Donegal, but they don't actually go as many people to concerts. So when you bring a band in from Scotland, or fellas will say to me, any chance of getting a gig over there? Our problem is we could have 100 seats in a theatre, but we might only get 40 people to pay in to see it. That's a bit of a shock people have. Now, the Americans love us. There's Americans in Cavan today. I met them. They've isolated for 2 weeks. They flew in from Washington. They're here for a month, and all they want to hear for the next month is Irish music. They love it. Yeah. They can't understand that our own people don't love it as well.
Have you been over and played in America then yourself as well?
Yes.
Have you played?
I've done a lot. Yeah, but 23 of the states I've seen over the last probably 12 or 13 years on tours, and loved it, and I loved America. And like that, it's so vast that there's always an audience somewhere for you. So you could go down to Texas, or you could go up to Calgary, you can go to Saskatoon, you can head to New Orleans where I was. Not just the Irish New York or Philadelphia or Boston, San Francisco, but the outer reach, Little Rock, Arkansas, loved Irish music. They absolutely love it. And I spoke to Phil Cunningham, because the first ever CD I made, Phil Cunningham produced it and played it on it. And he talked about when he went to America with Silly Wizard. I went with Relativity, and the crowds were huge for them. Thousands of people. And Wolfstone, I think, experienced the same. Thousands of people. You know.
It was bands like the Tannahill Weavers and the Battlefield Band, and that they had big scene going out there for these guys.
Owen Tierney from Orkney. Owen told me stories about Ivan Drever and them selling, 5,000 or 6,000 LPs on a tour, because he was making LPs at that time. Like, that'd be unheard of for us. 5,000 or 6,000 LPs at that time. Wow!
I can't believe Owen Tierney was telling you stories.
Yes, my Owen and Ingy Jolly, and Owen Tierney. They come over here every year to the Fla, or the Flay as you call it. Well, they come to the Fla every year, and they're great people. And of course, Owen Tierney.
Lovely.
Owen researched his family tree and found over some of them actually from County Cavan and from County Monaghan, not far from where we live here. So Owen has relations up here. Wonderful people. And as I say, it's great to get a chance to catch up. I appreciate all the work you've done, Peter, keeping the music going, first of all with the fundraising, but to watch it, it's a big commitment to sit down and play for hours every week. And Ewan Galloway is at the same, and Leonard Barry, wonderful stuff going on. That's again is the wonderful standard you can do, and you do it so easy. You make Philip Clark's watching tonight, and he had sent me a text there and saying that he says that is some accordion playing when he was talking about you, so that's you are just brilliant.
So if you got me over to Ireland, then we might get 10 people in the theatre then.
Well, if me and you play together, we'd fill the hall.
Excellent. Right, you're on. It's a deal. Are you going to let us hear this orange accordion, or are you going to play the other one?
The orange accordion has the reeds out of it at the moment. I'm tuning it, so I am.
Don't play it then. Don't play it.
Yeah, but it's a lovely accordion. But the left side of all the reeds taken out, I'm doing a job on it. But Matt Manfrini, a wonderful piano accordion player, or maker, he made that button accordion, and they're going down very well. So I play another tune. I'm not sure if you're watching out for a bit of my Irish music. There's a lovely magazine called Irish Music. Peter, there's it there now. Irish Music is called. That's Eileen Ivers. She's on the front cover for July, and you know who's on the front cover for August? There's a hairy fella on the front cover for August.
Are you in your majorette outfit though?
I'm just wearing me vest. I'm just going to wear me vest. There's a man called Robert Houston. Robert Houston is in charge of this magazine. He's watching tonight, and Robert said I could wear me vest on the front cover. And it's special paper that they're using, Peter. Special paper. It's a lovely magazine. But the new paper for August is that when you get this cover, and you can buy it online, irishmusicmagazine.com, but when you scratch the cover with me on it, you can actually smell me. The special cover, Irish Music Magazine, August.
Oh, dear. I saw something online about you yesterday with your vests. Were you thinking of changing one or something?
I put on the clean one for tonight. Look, I put on the clean vest, everybody. I'm a recovered anorexic, boys, and a recovered anorexic. Somebody said I'm well recovered. Any of the girls out there watching now, girls, I'm everything that you want with a belly. Think of it like that. So, I'll play a little tune I wrote then, because you are talking. I know you compose all the time. We're always in awe of, again, the Shetland and his competitions up in Shetland. Irish music has been very slow to engage new tunes. It's only in the last 5 to 7 years that there's more popular among the younger players, but for a long time, there's only a certain amount of players wrote tunes, and a lot of them wouldn't even name them or tell them because they were afraid they wouldn't be accepted. Used to have a much more, I'll write a tune, compliments. Ian Peterson, I remember meeting Ian Peterson, the late Ian Peterson up in Shetland, and he gave me 12 of his composition books. Like, I was there saying, wow, you know. So this is a little tune I wrote, and it's called The Pucker, and it's written for a singer called Sean O'Shea. He's from Cork. He's very famous, Sean O'Shea, and he recorded a song called The Pucker Willa, and I call this tune The Pucker. The Pucker.
Okay.
That's a P now, a P. I'm not sure if you can hear
fla,
a P.
fla.
It's a pucker, not a P. Be sure it's a P.
A pucker.
A pucker. No, somebody in America says, Jesus, what did you call a tune after that, man? He's not a fucker. I says, it's a P. It's not a pucker.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
A couple of lads to say to me, Peter, I used to compete in competitions, and the judges used to say to me at the end, they said, have you killed many accordions? That's what you write that down, Peter. Have you killed many accordions?
Have you killed many? I remember Rebecca, could you bring Ross and me back up just now? That'd be cool. I remember the late Ian Powrie, the fiddle player, and he was talking about the fiddle and the accordion, and he said, you know, someone plays the fiddle and it fills the room with this beautiful abundance of sweet sounds. And he says, and then along comes the accordion player and they point the bugger and fire it.
Oh, very true, very true.
Olive Murray says, brilliant, Martin Donohoe, love the pucker.
Olive, up for Mana, wonderful friend, a wonderful friend of ours. Thank you, Hope. I'll be down in a Skilling shopping soon, Olive. I'll meet you. We're allowed to travel around now, boys. We're allowed to travel. For a long time there, we had to stay within our 10 kilometres or 20 kilometres. But we're free to travel the length of the island. And, of course, we have to cross the border to get into Northern Ireland. So we cross the border. So that's a big job for us. So. Again, thanks very much for inviting me. It's lovely to. I've been following you. Internet is great. It's a wonderful asset, and it's wonderful to be able to cook in and catch the music and the tunes. And as I say, enjoyed the crack. I hope I didn't offend anybody yet.
No, it's listen, brilliant having you on.
You mentioned before about setting the Zoom up beside your fridge, but had you used Zoom much in your teaching before this?
No, never ever. Never ever. And tomorrow morning, I have a 10 o'clock, which is very difficult because I've been going to bed very late, as we all are. And then we have to get up very early tomorrow because the Sulscoura Willie Clancy, their music classes are all the 950 students going online tomorrow for 5 days. They always do it in County Clare for the week, the Milltown Malvis School. But again, cancelled. But they decided that they offer free classes with all the instruments and singing and dancing. And they're offering workshops free. So everybody's enrolled. And I have a student tomorrow from Korea and I have a lady from Alaska. Now, with time differences, the Korean is telling me that he's coming in from work to take the class. And they're coming in online tomorrow. for Skull Sour Willie Clancy. So technology and the works is great. And it's Irish Music Magazine, even Robert was telling me that they've done some broadcasts from their magazines and they've had 60 and 70,000 people looking in, you know, around the world. It's just unreal. Yeah. The audience, it's a new audience and it's wonderful. It's great. Liz Doherty done her PhD, so she did on the music of Cape Breton. So some of the Cape Bretoners listening here might have met and played music with Liz. She's from Donegal, living in Derry. But I mean, she talked about Cape Breton and their love of music. And like, I mean, Ireland has their love and there's traditions. I know Will Pound and Karen Tweed and Jen and all this gang down in England doing great music, and Scotland's full of it, Shetland, Orkney. So we're very lucky. We enjoy it, and I enjoy it. I'm doing it all my life, and I'll die a musician, and that's the bottom line. I'll enjoy it every bit. You know,
it's just come back to me. The Pucker tune that you wrote yourself there. I've played that with you because you put it into Tunes in the House, and I played the.
That's right. We done a lovely Martin on the fiddle as well. It was lovely.
Martin McLeod played the fiddle, and it was really it's a wee unusual, really catchy tune because it's got that wee triplet at the beginning. It's in a different place. And
I built that tune around Sean O'Shea's name. We were touring around in America and as a singer, and I just said Sean O'Shea, Sean O'Shea, Sean O'Shea.
All right.
So that's how I done it, and
that's how it came about.
That's how it came about. And as I say, we make a lot of music on Facebook. We have a Facebook page there, and we have a festival over here called the Nya, N-Y-A-H, N-Y-A-H. It's not the Naya. That's what some people think. It's the Naya, but it's Nya. And in Irish music, we have this great saying that if you have a bit of heart and soul, and if you sing a song or if you play a tune, and we'd say, there's great nya to that. There's great nya. In blues music, you'd say they have the soul. But in Irish music, we say you have the nya. The nya. NYAH. So we run a festival and we're having it in September this year. Even with the COVID, we got 4,500 from the Irish government to try and get people to come back out. But the problem is with social distancing, we think we'll only be allowed to have 40 people in the hall. But that's what we're going to have to do. It's a start. It's a start. It's a start.
I saw something coming through tonight that the government was going to give X amount of billion or something, but they were talking about still no live events kind of style thing they were talking about.
And even Cavan County Council, they're very nervous. Savina Donohoe would be employed with the council with her museum there, and Katrina O'Reilly's our arts office. But they're trying to say, you know, when you run an event, there'll be liabilities with insurance and stuff like that. So we have our own insurance. We have the Nya group. But as I say, it's a venue that can hold 150 people on another night. But for us to socially distance it and to do it COVID grand standards, we're talking about maximum of 40 people in that room. 40 people.
Yeah, it's not financially viable. So that's the Nya.
The Nya. You have it, Peter. The Nya.
So we've got a fla and a Nya.
That's right. The Nya. May the Nya be with you. The Nya.
So not a flea and a Nya.
No, our minister, our ex-minister of culture, Heather Humphreys, still a wonderful lady from Monaghan, but she was officially opening one of her launches, so she was, and she's the minister for Ireland, and she arrives down, and everybody's there, all the members were 20 years celebrating the Nya, and she gets up, and somebody reads the script, and she says, I love the Naya, she says, I support the Naya all the time. We're there going, it's the Nya, it's not the Naya. So, anyway, that's it.
That's how it goes. So, any live gigs coming up at all then?
Well, September. We'll start our sessions. We're lucky enough. The bars that have restaurants in Southern Ireland, the bars that have restaurants can deliver a €9 meal. They have to be able to deliver a €9 meal in the south of Ireland at the moment. They've been allowed to open last week. They have to be able to deliver a €9 meal. And then if you don't do food, those bars are opening on the 20th of July. All bars in Ireland will open on the 20th of July. I've seen that England opened yesterday, but only in Ireland on the 20th of July. If you have no food, all the bars. So we're playing tunes on the last Sunday. It's our booking for a weekly gig that we do in the Farnham Arms Hotel in Cavan. And a lovely space. We'll have the Nya Kiltas there, all the youngsters and their parents and friends. But again, we'll have to look at a limit in how many can attend. It'd normally be 30 musicians, lads, on a Sunday there. We can't have 30 anymore, so we'll have to limit it. And we one of the girls that's involved in it, Karen McNaughton, she works in that area of COVID and all that, and she'll be giving us guidance. She'll be the health sort of audience. And Bernie Riley, another parent, she works in a creche. So all these parents are very nervous now about how you do it and properly and social distancing. But that'll be the live gig. I do a radio show as well. Gary was talking about his one. I'm on Shannon Side Northern Sound for any of the listeners. It's easily found on the web, Shannon Side and Northern Sound. And it's been off for the last nearly 14, 15 weeks, but we hope in the next fortnight now we're going to be back on Saturday nights at 6 o'clock. So that's why I could never hear the floor on a Saturday, because we have our own show here on Shannon Side. It's called The Wind That Blows, and there'll be a lot of wind, a lot of wind.
Did you see that comment that's just come up there? All Ireland pubs open on July the 20th. Did Martin say he's buying the first round?
Yeah, yes. I will encourage, I will buy you a drink, Shirley. That's what you love about Shetland. You get a dram fierce handy up in Shetland. Is there much drinking in Cape Breton? I wonder. We'll have to ask Barbara. Is there any drinking in Cape Breton at all? They do a lot of house concerts and house parties, I know. They do.
Yeah, I think they do quite a lot of that. Yeah. We've had a few guests on. We had a guest on, was it last week, a young lad called Morgan Tony, a fiddle player for the Micmac First Nations. And he was great as well. And there's a man, Joseph Nicholson in Orkney, giving you a hard time here. He said, I think it's Naya.
Oh, Joseph, I'll be talking to you when I see you next October. Now I'm going back now. I wasn't asked, but I never asked. I'm just going to go anyway. I said, who's the will be trying to hide from me and all the gangs, Elaine and Diana Peterson. And of course, I do stay with Neil and Val Hall. They have a great house there. Yes. And they've lots of food, because Neil himself loves the food. So I'm in a great house. So I know the key code for the fridge and everything. So.
Excellent. I remember you playing a concert. I was saying earlier when we were speaking to Gary there, I remember you pulling the bass strap off the Indian accordion one night at a concert up here.
Yes, that's right. I did. I broke the bloody thing, on the stage.
Yeah, and you managed to keep going. No, you just kind of grip it somewhere else and kept going.
I held on to one end and kept going. So this is a very old accordion. That's what I would have had in the Breffney band in Cavan. And they're different colours. You get them in red and you get them in blue. But this is very old. This now, believe it or not, I love this accordion. It's in a semitone up, Peter. It's in D and D sharp. So when you play the different keys, it's very bright. And it's light. And as the older I got, I like the lighter accordions. And some people say that when they see me playing it, they say, "Oh, look, Martin has his belly button accordion again."
I'm trying to remember, but did old blind dogs, did they not used to push their stuff up a semitone sometimes just to brighten it as well?
Yeah, I find that now. And it also keeps the audience awake sometimes. Over in Ireland, it's great to keep them awake, a semitone up. Honestly. Sorry,
did I say old blind dog? I meant four men and a dog. I was getting the dogs.
They would go up there as well, yeah.
Getting the dogs mixed up there for a minute.
Just having that on the piano accordion is not as easy to do, Peter.
No. Just every piano accordion player's nightmare. That
has to be.
That's just there used to be an old chap used to go and play the accordion at an accordion club, and he played everything on the black keys. He played piano accordion, but he played everything on the black keys. And he had learnt at home as a young boy from the gramophone, and the gramophone was a semitone out of tune. So if it was a G, he was playing an F sharp, and so on and so on. And then he would say, "Would you come up and play piano with me?" And you're like, I've got a haircut. Sorry.
I remember the poor Derek Henry, the first year I arrived in Shetland, and Derek got the job because he was the sound man. So they sent him up to the Foster. They said, "You would have been in the Foster in the time I met you." And of course, Derek had the job at the piano then. And so the poor man, he didn't know where he was going. He nearly fell off the bloody keyboard. So he did, because I had the tour of going either. Great memories. And listen, it's just lovely to, as I say, catch the up and catch the church. And it's good to have it,
It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful having you on tonight. Do you fancy firing us up a wee set of tunes before you go?
I will. And as I say, there's a lovely man watching tonight, Mickey McDonald. And when yous all come, he's after buying a pub. Now, remember this, a man from Cavan. Cavan people are known to be very mean. But Mickey McDonald from Fiddle is after buying a pub in the lockdown. So he just bought the pub, so he did. So we'll all invite over to Cotill to play tunes. And that'll be a great house for us now when yous do come. And the invitation's there. We'll have to have a reunion when it's safe to. And we'll meet up. God, I want to do that. And I keep me promises, as you know.
That would be fantastic. I'm looking forward to that already. As long as Martin, as long as it's not a pub with no beer.
Oh, well, Mickey will have it well stocked. Don't you worry. He'll have it well stocked. And I don't know what I'll play. What should I play? I'll play an old tune. It's a jig. And again, this tune was very popular, so it was in County Cavan. Some people call it "Me Darling's Asleep," or we sometimes say it's "Me Darling's a Sheep." So it's very... Go on ahead.
Sure, that's not a Shetland tune.
I'd be afraid it was.
My darling's a sheep. I'm sure
there
that...
you are. People say they're coming to Cavan. Yes, are more than welcome. And the Nya, watch out for the Nya, NYAH.
Martin, you've done a fantastic job for Irish tourism. I think you've put Cavan on the map tonight for sure.
Everybody's welcome. It's a great country when it doesn't rain, and if we had a roof, we'd be perfect. So that's it.
Martin, thank you so much, my old friend, for coming on. That has been just absolutely fantastic.
And everybody listen, keep safe, keep washing your hands, everybody. Watch yourselves. And wear your mask. I go around shopping with my mask on me. So there you are.
There must be a big mask with that fruit. yeah. But listen, no, thank you so much. And you look after yourself too. And what is that? WD-40 you're drinking or something like that? What is that?
It's banana milk. Somebody said I'm a diabetic. I'm Ireland's worst diabetic. And I'm on the banana milk, so I am. There you are. It's raw.
Other cakes are available.
It's mighty stuff.
Martin, you're a legend. Thank you very much.
We'll see you everybody. Keep safe in Cape Breton, Shetland, and Ireland, and all around the world. Keep safe.
See you, man. Cheers, thanks, Martin.
Bye.
Well
done, Peter. I think we're going to have to find a lunatic asylum for next week.
I did kind of pre-warn you about Martin that it would be fun, didn't I?
What a character, eh?
The crack's just phenomenal. It just rolls off his tongue. It's just, and he's just such a genuine guy. You know, if you meet him in the street, he will stop and speak to you. That guy just does not walk past you. He's just.
I've been looking at stuff online all week.
Yeah,
because I've never met him, and he's a character just all the time. But that was. I think maybe not. I think maybe wean him off the banana milk, maybe.
Too much sugar in that.
Great.
No, but that was fantastic.
I can great music tonight, though. Eh?
What time are we at just now?
We're just about done.
We're just about done. Oh well, listen, folks. I don't think we need to play any more tonight because you've had amazing amounts of music tonight. Right back to Dr. Gary West and then Martin Donohoe for Cavan in Ireland. It's been great. I've loved it tonight. It's been a great.
Great, really good.
So I do hope you've enjoyed it. Rebecca is backstage doing the ghost moderating. Thanks, Rebecca, for that. I think you've had a long day. You've had cooking shows. You've got everything. I don't know if you've got something else. Here is Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Here's Rebecca and the family. How are you doing, guys?
The microphone's on.
Turn your mic on, Rebecca.
There was a notice.
There we go. Now.
Hi, you guys. How are you? So you all right?
There's an extra one last week, Rebecca.
Good.
There's one more.
What's that?
There's an extra one from last week that seems to be growing every week.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Yep, we're all here, loud and clear, getting ready for bedtime. They can't figure out why they have to go to bed when it's still light out.
No, we're the
Summertime.
same. We're the same. Ross is the same. He doesn't want to go to bed.
That was an awesome show tonight. I loved it.
Fantastic.
Take it away, Peter. Good night, everyone all over the world. Say good night. Good night.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Rebecca.
What time do you go to bed at? They want to know. What time do your kids go to bed at, Peter? Because they think I'm an unfair mom.
Mine went to bed about 3 hours ago.
Oh, see? It's late over there. It's 4 hours. And they live right in our backyard, right across the water. Look at the window.
Just straight across. Yeah. There's no time difference. Anyway, thanks, Rebecca.
I'll let you close, Peter.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay.
Thanks. There we go, Ross. So, Ross, that's been brilliant. That's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice to see Rebecca and the kids on. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you've enjoyed the show again tonight. We'll be back on next Sunday night, 9:30 again, UK time, for Sundays in Scotland. Have you got anything else you want to say tonight?
No, just it was great seeing everybody's comments coming on the screen. It's hard to see them as you see them, but I noticed one from New Zealand there as well. So it's great that the coverage is going out that far.
It's just amazing and it's just fantastic. And just a big thank you again to Gary West and Martin Donohoe. They've made this show happen tonight. Anyway, that's fantastic. And so, folks, take care. Please do. Nobody still seems to know what's happening very much for day to day. So we'll just have to take our time and look after each other. And it's good night from me.
And a good night from him.
See you later.
See you later. Thanks, Peter.
Bye. Bye-bye.
See you now.